Hello, I'm Winnie and I am the Commercial Director at Luxury Promise, a London-based pre-loved designer bag website. I have over 15 years experience in handling, authenticating and valuing designer bags. In this video, I'll guide you and give you some tips on what to look out for when buying your first designer pre-loved bag. If it's the first time you come across our channel, we would love for you to subscribe and hit the like button and give us a thumbs up, as we'll be adding more how-to videos in the world of pre-loved luxury handbags. In this video, I'll be looking at how to shop popular brands such as Louis Vuitton, Chanel and Hermes. With so many pre-loved websites popping up, knowing what to look for and what websites to trust can be a minefield. Here are some of my top points and on top 3 brands that are most sought after in the pre-loved market. So first up, we'll be looking at Louis Vuitton. For those who are looking to purchase their first designer brand, and a lot of people, it's a gateway brand into investing into luxury bags, it would be Louis Vuitton. One can see why. It's one of the oldest luxury houses with over 160-year history, and it's one of the most recognisable brands. Louis Vuitton are not only a status symbol, but it is a practical choice. Its bags, like its legendary trunks, and still are, hard-wearing, practical and durable bags made for travel. So when you're looking to buy a second-hand version, you might be a bit weary about the condition and the authenticity of the bag, so here are my tips. The Keeple and Speedy styles are 2 of the most popular styles at Louis Vuitton and are readily available on the secondary market. One of the most recognisable features of the Louis Vuitton bag is of course the LV monogram print. The interlocking L and V floral design was actually designed by Louis Vuitton's son Georges Vuitton in 1896. The design was inspired the pattern of the 4-petal flowers on the Gian earthenware tiles, which was found in the Vuitton family kitchen in Agnières-sur-Seine. Did you know that LV monogram bags are stress tested? LV monogram bags goes through rigorous durability tests, which include using ultraviolet rays to the canvas exterior to ensure resistance to fading. Bags are weight tested. Average bag can carry up to 3.5 kilos. Zippers are tugged open and shut around about 5,000 times. Louis Vuitton bags are one of the most counterfeited bags, so what to look out for when shopping for an authentic pre-loved version. Now let's look at this Speedy bag here. Now the LV pattern should repeat in a symmetrical mirrored fashion. Pattern should start with an LV. The L should sit at the bottom with the V slightly above, and the pattern should follow by a fleur-de-lis, a flower in circle, fleur-de-lis, and LV again, and it should repeat all the way through. Now at any point of the bag, the pattern should be in a symmetrical sequence. So for example, if the pattern on the edge starts with a circle in flower, this should repeat. If you scan across, it should be the same on the opposite side. If we go back to the same point, if we follow the pattern all the way through to the opposite side of the bag, it should also end with a flower in circle. Now, you may notice that on Speedy and Keeple bags, one of the LV pattern is upright, and if you flip around to the opposite side, it's upside down. Now, does that mean the bag is fake? No, it doesn't. LV and Speedy Keeple bags are made from one continuous canvas. So if we see the LV on this side, if we follow it through, it'll be naturally upside down on the opposite side. Now the difference between a Speedy and a Keeple is that Speedy sizes are smaller and designed for everyday city use, and they come in sizes 25, 30, 35 and 40 centimetres. And then the Keeples jump up to 45, 50, 55 to 60 cms, and they are actually designed for travel use. To check the size of the Keeples, the very clever people at Louis Vuitton, they normally emboss the size of the bag at the end of the bag. So here it says 60, so this is a Keeple 60. Now, the ones that come with a strap on the Keeples, they're called Keeple bandolier. A good way to spot the difference between a Speedy and a Keeple is that the Keeple always have a leather strap in the middle, and this is strategically placed to distribute the weight of this travel bag. Now, one of the key things about these bags is, of course, the pochette leather straps. This is an undyed natural leather, and they do patina or darken due to the use oils of your hand, the weather, the climate. Now, fake versions of these very rarely do not darken, and they remain very pale. What's interesting about the darkening pochette patina is that no two bags darken the same. The LV Monogram exterior is crafted from canvas, not leather, and all authentic Speedies and Couples are lined in brown cotton canvas. And finally, when it comes to Louis Vuitton bags, there often is a date code. Now, these date codes are not unique ID codes, they are the manufacturer's code, and you can actually have the same model with the same date code. Now, these date codes can be found either at the back of the strap or behind a pocket of the Speedy or the Keepall bag. Now, if we take a look at this Keepall, it says VI0993. VI is the initial code for the country of origin, which was made in France. And if we take the first digit and the third digit, this will make up the month. So that's 0 and 9, that would make September. And if we take the second digit and the last digit, which is 9 and 3, this will make up the year. So this bag was manufactured in September 1990. If we look at the Speedy, the date code is just found behind the internal pocket, and this one says SP0998. So SP is another initial for France, and if we take the first and third digit, it would be 0 and 9, so that makes the month September. And if we take the second and last digit, which is 9 and 8, that's 98. So this bag is from September 1998. Another popular style and one of the most sought after bag is, of course, the timeless Chanel classic flat bag. The timeless style has been popular ever since its creation in 1955, and one can see why. It's one of those bags that combine both craftsmanship, style and design practicality. Did you know it takes 4 to 5 years of training before an employee can be an official Chanel craftsperson? Depending on the style and the material used, a 255 or a 1112, which is the official modern name of the bag, can take up to 18 hours of production, will involve 180 different procedures, and will be worked on up to 15 different people. Chanel's classic bags go by a bag-in-bag process. When assessing these bags at Luxury Promise, we look at the lining. The lining should sit flush with inside the bag. This is a highly skilled job, and often in counterfeit bags, this process is poorly executed. When authenticating these bags, we often look at the serial number. The serial number is a unique ID code, a bit like a car number plate, and no two bags have the same number, particularly in vintage models. The number represents the year of manufacture and the unique identification of where the bag was made. For example, this bag starts with a 1-digit number, so I can actually date this to 1989 to 91, and it should be made in France. Chanel bags are often made in France, Italy and Spain, never Paris. If you see one says made in Paris, I would avoid it. Another thing when authenticating a classic flat bag, we always look at the hardware. The hardware is an important trademark of Chanel. So let's take a look at this CC turnstile lock. As a rule of thumb, the right C should always overlap the left C. And if we take a look at the back plate, I always look at the font and the inscription. It should be Chanel followed by Paris from left to right, and then followed by 2 flathead screws. When shopping for vintage Chanel classics, there is always a dilemma whether the bag should have a serial sticker or authenticity card. Of course, ideally, it should have both. But if the authenticity card is missing, it's no biggie, as cards do get lost. I would choose the serial sticker over the card, as the sticker is part of the unique identifier of the bag. However, I have come across older bags where the sticker is missing. After all, it is just a sticker. or the numbers have been worn, which is due to just wear and tear. But fear not, it's okay, because there are other things you should be looking for in terms of authenticity. We look for the quality of leather. Under a microscopic lens, we know this is a genuine leather from the natural pores of the skin. It should have a natural spring back when you press hard on the leather, just like skin. Now, when you are shopping for vintage Chanel, ideally you're looking for a piece that is undyed and not retouched, all original condition leather pieces like this one I have here. The lambskin should have a light buttery sheen. However, it's okay if you come across a vintage one that has been retouched or refreshed back to its original colour, like if it's had a bag spa service, as long as it's in keeping with the original colour. I would avoid a recoloured bag. For example, if you knew that the bag went from white to black, often the condition of the leather will become very stiff and dry and loses its suppleness. And finally, check the corners of the bag when you're purchasing a vintage Chanel bag. I mean, Chanel bags are pretty much very robust. It will be natural to have some minor scuff marks along the bottom and the corners of the bag. However, this can be reconditioned with leather balm or be taken to your professional bag spa specialist. Look for the hand stitching on these bags as well, which is often found on the corners, the extreme corners of the bag, and this is usually hand done, and make sure that it's not unraveling. These are pretty much robust bags, and they should last a long time. The point of why they are hand stitched is because these are the stress points of the bag, and they should make sure that it's strong and secure with many years of use. Now, at the top of the designer bag chain is of course the most coveted bag, and one of the most elusive style is the Hermes vintage Kelly bag. First made famous by Grace Kelly in 1956, when she was famously papped leaving a building using her Kelly bag to hide her baby bump. Whilst brands new Hermes Kelly bags price point are out of reach for most of us, we can see why buying a vintage version is much easier to attain. But what are the tips you should be looking for? Hermes Kelly bags are entirely done by hand, and it's handcrafted. It takes up to 36 leather pieces all assembled by hand using 680 stitches and up to 25 continuous hours to create one Kelly bag. Did you know thousands of people around the world globally apply to train at the Hermes Academy, but only 200 people ever get accepted? One of these skills is training in the traditional stitching technique called saddle stitching, which stems from equestrian leather wear. Saddle stitching is done entirely by hand and uses 2 needles. It is a very durable and hard wearing stitch. Now, how can you tell if a bag has been saddle stitched? So if you look closely, the stitching is not flat, it's actually on a slant. Another handy tip to look for when identifying if a bag has been hand stitched, I always look at the base back of the leather strap. I look for the hand back stitching, which often appears thicker. This helps reinforce and take most of the stress points of the bag when opening and closing the bag. The Hermes bags are famous for their sangle hardware. If we look at the back, we should see 4 rivets. This is a unique process called purling. It's a process where the nail is smoothly rounded off and is done by hand. Often on counterfeit models, this is stuck on or it is poorly executed. And then finally, what part of our authentication process is that we look for the date code and the craftsman's code as well. And on vintage models, it is found on the back of the sangle. Now, this is an R in circle, meaning that this is a 1988 model. Often the older Kelly bags were made in box calf. In fact, Grace Kelly's bags was a box calf bag as well. Box calf is a durable leather with a smooth grain and a matte sheen. The leather, although not discontinued, it is a very rare leather and often not found in vintage models. Under the right condition, boxcarved leather can last for generations. The famous orange box happened upon by chance. Post-Second World War, where there were austerity measures in place, cardboard boxes were in short supply and the only box colour available was orange, and it has become the house colour ever since. And finally, shop safely online. Some good practices. When you're shopping, make sure the website's encrypted. When you go to make a purchase, make sure there is a padlock symbol appears when you make a transaction. Does the website have a returns policy? Is it a reputable seller? Is it a legitimate business? Does it have a registered office? Is there a transparent social media presence? And does the website have customer reviews? All these aspects will give you an informed purchase. For me, why I love vintage designer bags, I love buying vintage as I'm extending the life cycle of a beautiful product. Also, buying secondhand is a great way to test out these wonderful brands at an accessible price point. But importantly, some of these vintage bags are unique one-of-a-kind pieces, which adds a style value to my wardrobe. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Winnie. To see more of our wonderful range of authentic pre-loved designer bags, please visit www.luxurypromise.com. Thank you and goodbye.